Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm joined this week by two special guests, and I'm so excited that they're going to be with us to help us understand the great work that they're doing down in the Stafford region. First up is going to be Lamont Brown, and he's a wealth management advisor. He's been doing this work for a few years now, and we're going to talk with him about that, and then we'll move over to talk with Mary Parnell. She heads up the education division for the Stafford Regional Black Chamber of Black Business Chamber, and we're going to talk with her as well. So thank you so much for being with us. Lamont, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me this evening.
Great. So how'd you get your start in wealth management advising?
Well, it was an interesting route. I'm originally from West Texas. Started out initially enlisted in the Marine Corps because that was the best way to get out of West Texas. Spent 15 years as both an enlisted man and as an officer. Got out and became an engineer initially. And from there, I decided one day to follow my passion, which drove me to become a financial advisor. Now I serve families today, helping them to achieve their long-term goals and making sure that they can answer those questions that they really have out there for themselves, like will I be able to retire and when can I retire?
Right. Wow. I mean, what does all that entail, being a financial advisor?
It entails a lot of listening and getting to know people and figuring out what their true goals are and their true burning desires. Because a lot of us, we work a long life and we spend a lot of time getting to put money away, but we really don't know how to turn that into income as we retire. So making sure we understand what that looks like and who they really want to be once they actually retire.
Right. Do you find that people are sort of nervous about their future financially, concerned, worried, scared?
So it's very interesting. So I catch people in all walks. I catch people that are nervous enough to do something about it. I catch people that are nervous and put their head in the sand like the ostrich. So it really depends on the person and their personality. But all in all, most people are really concerned about what happens when that last check comes in.
Wow. And so you are also the president of the Stafford Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And first of all, before we go into that, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Just yesterday, we celebrated Memorial Day in this country.
Yes.
Were you out there with Rolling Thunder?
No, I wasn't. I don't own a motorcycle. I haven't owned a motorcycle since my sons were born. But that was a little agreement between my wife and I. But I was there in spirit.
Awesome. Okay. So then with the Stafford Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, tell me about that. How did it get started in 2015?
Yeah. So we saw this need in the Stafford region, and that was we were dealing with a big disconnected society. And we have, as you know, Stafford region is made up of 5 major counties down there. And we really saw that the African-American businesses weren't coming together. We didn't even know each other existed. And we started with this one meeting where we had 85 people show up, and they were really interested. And from that day forward, we decided to charter and become a chamber.
Wow, that's a lot. 85 people for the first meeting?
For the first meeting.
That's great. Is it more of a rural part of the state that you cover?
No, actually, we cover the Fredericksburg region, which covers Fredericksburg City, Spotsylvania County, Stafford, King George, as well as Caroline County.
So you guys have a great mixture of urban and suburban and a little bit of rural in there.
I don't know if you'd call us urban.
No urban in there?
Having been
Fredericksburg is, well, I guess D.C. in comparison to D.C., maybe not.
Having been in D.C. today, I don't know if you'd call us urban or not.
What types of support do you also provide at the chamber?
So our main focus is on connecting black businesses with each other and making sure that we know each other's out there and also learning from each other, creating that synergy between the knowledge that we have. But the other part of that is making sure that we're educating and ensuring that African-American businesses have the tools they need to begin, start up, and develop their business to grow.
Right. Do you find that blacks in the area are understanding who you all are and able to reach out to you guys, or are you doing more of the reaching out now to inform them?
We're doing a little bit of both.
Okay.
We're winning both ways. We do win more by word of mouth than we do by our website or Facebook or any of those things. 'Cause still, I'm a firm believer that you gripping somebody's hand and ask them to come to a meeting is a lot more effective.
Right.
But we are starting to see more people come in through Facebook and other ways.
And what community services or programs do you all offer specifically?
So we do a quarterly educational event, and we do quarterly events where we bring them together and have a great time and spend time together, and then we also bring in great speakers to speak like yourself to talk to our organization and make sure that we're getting the knowledge we need.
I really enjoyed my time with you all last month. Was it last month or this month?
Hey,
I think it was earlier this month, maybe.
Yeah, it was earlier this month.
Yeah, it was a great experience. You guys have had so many different types of businesses, business owners in the room. What types of, on average, do you find? Because I know that who was in our actual seminar didn't include all of your members.
So our members generally range from startup businesses out to about 5 years, and as you know, in that phase, it's a very integral part of a business's life. There's a lot of stuff you don't know and a lot of stuff you got to learn. So a lot of our businesses focus in on that.
Right. And how are you all, I guess, segmenting out and helping those who might just be starting up versus those who might be a little more mature and need different types of programs and services?
We're focusing on making sure they all have the basics and
that's
the
great.
fundamentals, making sure they understand their marketing, they understand their books, which Mary can talk about a little bit later on. They understand all the challenges that are going to be facing them as they look forward to growing a prosperous business.
That is so awesome that you're having them to focus on the basics, though, because so many, kind of skip over that. You jump in business, you win a major contract or, get a good customer going, and then you just kind of skip over a lot of stuff because success has already hit you. And then you find that, you got to go back and, cross some T's that you forgot or didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely. So that's one thing that I noticed in my role as a financial advisor is I was running into business owners that didn't have the basic knowledge of what do you have a bookkeeper, yes or no?
Right.
And a lot of them didn't. And do you know about marketing? Who's your marketing? Who are you marketing to? And asking those basic questions and finding out that they didn't know the answers led us to where we are. And that's how we kind of drive our education program to address those needs that we see our business owners having.
So, and you can identify with your members in both ways, I guess, not only as a leader of the chamber, but also as a fellow business owner.
Yes.
You said that, financial advising is your passion. How did you figure that out, having been in the military? When did that come to you?
So it came in the most oddest way. I was reading this book called "What Color Is My Parachute," and it told me to look around and see what I was interested in. And I took a look. At the time I was working as a system engineer at a local non-for-profit, and I looked up in my bookcase, and I had more financial advising books and personal finance books than I had engineering.
Wow.
So from that day forward, I said, you know what, I gotta follow my passion. This is something I started when I was in college, decided that, I'm going to wait until later because I'm going back in the Marine Corps, and then realized that was truly what I really wanted to be doing.
Wow. And then the usage of the word wealth, I mean, over the last decade or so, this usage of the word wealth has become more and more commonplace. But, in past days, you didn't really use that. People didn't use it unless they were wealthy or, we're moving in that direction.
Or they had the issues of the wealthy. Yeah.
Right. Do you find that people are really educated on what that means, or do you, or are you working with people in your passion area of wealth advising to educate them on everything that has to do with, building and sustaining a financial portfolio that would help them?
So we find that, I find personally that a lot of people come into it not really knowing how we can help. What questions we can help them answer, and what types of things they should be asking us as financial advisors. And our industry has done us no favors by creating these many terms. You have financial advisor, you have wealth management.
Right.
What's the difference in all of those? But what I find is that people just need to know that there's someone out there to help you walk through walk down this path and find and answer those tough questions, like, do I have enough money saved up?
Right.
Where do I go next from here, and how do I buy this house or do I buy this car, and those types of questions.
So you are in leadership with the chamber. What drew you to that specifically? Because it's one thing to join a chamber. It's one thing to support a chamber, get on a board for the chamber. It's another thing to lead up, a chamber. What happened there?
So I started out and I looked at it. And I was really passionate about the people, and I was really passionate about the issues that I was seeing. Because as a Marine and as a financial advisor, I would run into a lot of issues, and it became overwhelming to see how many people didn't know things that I had to learn, or things that I already knew.
Right.
And wanting to be able to share that and then also drive the direction of the organization to a point where it could benefit the local community. Because our community is disparate. I mean, we're all over the place. We stretch out probably, 20 miles between the tip to end of each one of our counties. So.
And so you're supporting predominantly African Americans and Blacks. Is it also other minority groups that are members of your group? Or
we are open to all. And I like to just say it that way, is that there's no restriction on it. If you're a minority, if you're Black owned, if you're not minority, you can come in and become a member of our organization, and you'll find that our organization is focused on that startup to developing business. And a lot of other chambers tend to miss that, and because they're dealing with the larger people, and I understand that. So our focus is primarily on the startups.
What is your biggest hope for your members?
My hope is that we grow some strong businesses, and we get to the number of 100 businesses that we serve in the local area, and that we grow beyond where we are right now.
And what would you say their greatest pain point is on average, your members, and how are you working to address it?
Greatest pain point that I see right now is connection, knowing what you don't know and connecting with people who can help you find that.
Right.
And what we're doing to do that is we're having these quarterly events where we're bringing everyone together, and people are getting to know each other. And once they start to know each other, start to trust each other, and start to build those relationships, I think we'll have a much stronger business community down in our area.
Right. And so I know that, that type of role is got to be pretty intense. How do you balance it all, your financial practice,
yes,
and actual leadership with the chamber? I'm imagining that you get calls sometimes.
I do.
Hair is on fire. Some people, you got to put up some fires out in the middle of the day and things like that. How are you toggling those?
I spend a lot of time thinking through it in my free time, and that's generally where it is. And this is something that I'm passionate about. So the time spent is not really time spent. It's not like I'm doing anything difficult or anything. This is something I really enjoy, and these are people that I'm really passionate about helping. Helping them to overcome those roadblocks and see those obstacles before they come is something that I really am interested in making happen.
And what kind of strategic planning do you all do? I would imagine that you also have advisors that support the chamber and folks that make up a leadership team or committee. What does that look like?
So we have a board, and we have 5 members on our board, and we're made up of everyone from technology to we have a former CPA, we have we have a personal assistant, we have a lot of different people coming in from different walks and backgrounds, and we're always open to our members to provide us advice. And that's one good thing about having a chamber that's starting out, is we can listen to our people and make decisions quickly. So we do spend a lot of time.
That's great. I mean, some organizations, and especially those that are membership oriented, have a hard time just finding out where people are.
Yeah.
How are you? I mean, because that's a nice territory that you all have.
Yeah.
How do you all go about that? Just actually finding folks so that you can acquire new members.
We're doing it word of mouth. We're going out, and someone knows someone that's an African-American business owner. We're sending that person in to ask the question, hey, do you know about the Stafford Regional Black Chamber of Commerce? Would you like to come to a meeting? And we're making it known that way.
Right.
We're using the simple, hey, I know you, you know me. Do you know anyone else that wants this kind of service?
Right. And are you working with any education or workforce organizations out there to let them know about what you all are doing, schools, community colleges? Or
no, we haven't got to that yet. We've been working primarily on growing our membership and making sure that we're serving our members. And our next step, once we get to a point where we're ready to move forward, then we'll start to
be able to reach out and build some more of those relationships in the area. Well, I applaud you. I know it's couldn't be easy.
No, it's not.
But at least you're passionate about it. And that makes it worth it. So I really applaud you. We're going to go to break, and then we'll have you back to answer some questions on our panel.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
You've been watching Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett. Now we are joined by Mary Parnell, and she is the chair for the Education Division with the Stafford Regional Black Business Chamber. Thank you so much for being with us, Mary. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Akia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and you are not only working with the chamber, but you're also the owner of ABC Solutions, which is in bookkeeping.
Yes, accounting and bookkeeping and tax.
Oh, well, so tell us about that and what types of ways you're helping people stay out of trouble financially.
Okay. Well, always like the numbers. You put the dollar signs with it, and I just go crazy. And so accounting was always my choice, my interest. And so I did a lot of things with once I finished college, worked in public accounting, worked in private accounting, and so did a lot of different things. My most recent job was with the Small Business Development Center, and from that, I really knew that I wanted to take the accounting and go back into business for myself.
Wow.
And so with that, I taught for a while. So I've had a lot of experiences, been the controller of a couple of companies over the career. So just a lot of accounting experience, and then with helping businesses to get started, I focused on the second stage businesses, existing businesses, and the other counselor in our office focused on startups. And so with all of that, led me to ABC Solutions.
So do you find that people know their numbers?
Not usually. People know what they know. They know their skill. They know their expertise. They don't necessarily know the numbers, and that's where I come in. And I also found that there was a big need, that there was somewhat of a void in that area, in our area, whereas most folks, they don't understand the numbers. They don't necessarily want to pay for the services. And also many of them just having a conversation once or maybe twice a year.
Wow.
And so that's where I saw that there was a real need for my services to kind of change that around, have ongoing conversations and helping folks to understand the numbers.
Okay. And when you say they don't really want to pay, do they think they can do it themselves?
Yes,
I can do this myself until it's clear that they can.
Yes. You know how entrepreneurs will start out. And then, many don't necessarily have the funding that they need.
Yeah.
And so, you can understand.
That's got to be like that's minimize. A catch-22 sort of thing.
Yes.
Chicken before the egg.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the specific role that you play with the chamber.
Okay, with the chamber, I'm just excited about education. Lamont, who was here earlier and will be back, he asked me to come and serve in that role at the chamber, and that's really the only thing that I would like to do. I'm just excited about learning, think that there should be just lifelong learning with all of us, and then it's just so many resources available to us today. And so I embraced it wholeheartedly and have loved every minute of it.
And you said that you taught earlier. What did you actually teach?
In my career, I taught principles of accounting and business writing at a university. This was shortly after I got my master's degree. So I have an accounting degree and I have a master's degree, and that really started the path. The instructing in accounting really helped me to kind of solidify the accounting. It's one thing when you're going through and you're just trying to pass the test and get through the class, but if you're trying to impart something to someone else, and that was an interesting experience. I was early 20s and not much older than the students in my classroom, so that was an interesting dynamic, but led me to take the next step, which is what I realized I wanted to be certified. And so I needed to work in public accounting in order to do that.
Well, I mean, I just think it's a great compliment, the fact that you have that experience building out a curriculum and then being able to take that and let it inform the work that you're doing with the chamber. This is how you're making a difference in the lives of so many small businesses in that area. What is it that you love most about this particular role?
Well, that I get to interact with so many. Part of my personality, and anyone who knows me, service and my faith is a great part of me. And so being able to serve and help others is really gives me a lot of fulfillment. And so that's the most exciting thing. I know that there is a need. I know that I'm fulfilling a need. And so just the fulfillment that comes from that, and then also knowing that I'm helping others.
And how do you determine which new trends to offer your members in the form of education?
Well, it's so much out there now. It's usually, that we try to offer the basics like accounting,
Right.
branding. We're so just wonderful to have you with us,
Thank you. That was
and
fun.
the knowledge that you imparted. So we do some basic things like the marketing and the accounting, and of course social media. And then we like to bring in some other different topics just to broaden it out. For instance, public speaking is something that we're planning to do.
Great.
Helping businesses with, okay, you're running your business, how's your health? How to stay healthy while you're running this business. And so doing the basics, but then also, I guess, trying to build a well-rounded business owner too. And so those topics that would lend itself to helping a business owner to not only have the business, but to be successful in it all around in health and everything else.
How many educational opportunities do you all put on a year? Or do you have ideas for what's going to be next year?
We talked some about next year, but mostly we had kind of planned the year ahead, and as we get closer to the end, so probably sometime around September, we'll be looking more into the new year. But so we have a monthly speaker each month, and then we have an education and a more expanded program, which is the kind of program that you did for us. And then, of course, we do have the networking, which is also, the education piece, of course, is important, and then we also have the networking, and it's some education that goes along in that as well.
Yeah, and so you are, running your business, and this is something I talked to Lamont about earlier. You're running your business, ABC Solutions, and you're building out the educational platform for the chamber, which has got to be terribly exciting. I know I would be terribly excited to get to plan all the things that people are going to learn, having my own background in from being an adjunct for university in the D.C. area. How do you curb all that enthusiasm so that you can actually get things done every day in ways that you feel satisfied, with the progress that you've made?
Well, I guess it's just, being able to do what I love. And so I can keep the lid on, because I know I've always been one, if I have a goal and something ahead of me, I can just kind of plan it out and be able to do it in pieces. And so, I can keep the lid on because I know that I'm doing the things that I plan to do, so that's kind of how it's done.
And you were, and we kind of touched on this earlier, involved with small business development in the past. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that involved helping entrepreneurs in our region with the range of services. As I said, I work with existing businesses, and there was another council that worked with the startups. And so because my background was accounting, a lot of what I did, business planning, financial projections. Again, we touched on the funding where, a lot of businesses are not able to get the funding that they need. And so a business plan is useful not only to get funding, but of course to help you understand your business as you're getting started. But it can also be helpful to get funding. So that was something that I did. And again, a big part of that plan are your financial projections and and making sure that they are realistic. So, what I would say often was, it's not my my job to kill the dream, but it's my job to keep the dream real. And so that's what I would do with reviewing the projections and make sure, we're going to make $1 million in 6 months.
Right.
Okay, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Wow. So, I mean, and when you have those financial projections, and if they're not realistic, you kind of right-sizing those, bringing them back in. If they have a tight financial, projection sort of portfolio, if you will, or plan, and they move forward with that, there are still other things that prevent them from getting the funding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sometimes the best laid plans, but you have so many entrepreneurs where they see the path. That's why the business plan is important. That even without the funding, then you can create little pieces of it that you can do. Mm-hmm. What is it that you can do without the funding? And so having a plan where if you don't get funding, that's going to kill. It's going to be a deal breaker.
Right.
You figure out how you can get around that.
So are you right now looking for folks who can lead a workshop or seminar for you all in the near future?
Absolutely. Again, because we want to continue to offer topics and speakers and expertise, just continue to grow and get better and improve. Yes, we're always open.
Okay, great. And then the greatest educational opportunity, or folks who have what particular skill sets should be reaching out to you?
Well, entrepreneurs, those that really want to come and share what they do and feel like they are able to impart something to our group. We've had, a number of entrepreneurs to come to us. One owned several franchises in the Fredericksburg region, and so he came and talked about it. Was a military person, and he talked about his background in the military and how it shaped a lot of what he did. And then also he provided a lot of books that had helped him, and so he shared that with the group. And so persons that are in business and feel like they have something that they want to impart to the group is who we're looking for.
Great. Well, we will put contact information up for how you can get in touch with Mary at the end of the show. Stay right there. We'll be right back with a quick panel with Lamont and Mary from the Stafford Regional Black Business Chamber. Think Big. I'm now joined by my panelists, and I'm excited that you both are now here with us to help us wrap up the show for this week's edition.
Yes.
You guys have been tremendous with sharing information about what you're doing, not only in your professional career, but also building awareness for something that's so very important, helping people build wealth for themselves and for their families, not just through your own professional role as a financial advisor, but also building that wealth for themselves by learning about the things that you all have to offer at the chamber and being able to take advantage of those things. So what you've got some strategic changes that are coming up or on the horizon, right?
Yeah, so we're looking at recasting ourselves and kind of taking a look at what our current name right now doesn't say everything we wanted to say. So after your session with us, we started to really take a look at our vision and where we wanted to be. And one of the things that our members were saying and our prospective members were saying was, "I didn't know you covered that area." Wow. So that
in
was
geography.
In geography.
Yeah.
So we did a hard look at what area do we cover, and then how do we explain to people so that when they see our name, they know who we are and they know they need to connect up with us because we're here to help them.
Wow. I mean, was it challenging to say, well, we're not going to go there, we're going to stay here, or we're going to, I mean, that must have been interesting.
It has been. So everyone has an opinion, and we found that out.
Boy, do they.
One way or the other. So, but it has been a challenge for us because there's a lot of terms that are not used to cover our area. Like you have the Rappahannock region. That's one area. And then you have Greater Fredericksburg region.
Right.
That's another area. So we see a lot of different things being used to cover an area that we know and love, but that we just want to make sure everyone else understands what it means when we say it.
Right, and that territory or that change in strategic or rebranding, if you will, does that also change the territory, the footprint, your geographic footprint, or is that still the same?
It's going to stay the same because
Okay.
when we first started our bylaws, our intent was to cover that area already, and we put it in our bylaws to cover that area. It's just our name just wasn't meant to cover that area.
Right.
Yeah, we were meeting in Stafford, and so when we landed on that name, we kind of transitioned from the Black Chamber, and so we
Right.
were meeting in Stafford, and I think we just needed to have a name, but now that more thought has gone into it, and
Right.
to say your assistance.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there is some resistance to some folks not thinking that Stafford is part of Northern Virginia. I believe that it is.
It is. It is.
I believe that it is. Now, once you get past Stafford, I know they're still trying to, Fredericksburg is part of Northern Virginia, and well.
Well, the interesting thing, when I first came to this area, they didn't talk about on the local news. They didn't talk about anything south of Woodbridge.
Right.
And now you actually hear on the local news
Right.
them talking about Fredericksburg and Son and Fredericksburg. So.
And with the HOV going farther down, I mean, pretty soon it'll be Richmond as part of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, there are people that commute that far. Too.
Right. So what other areas of leadership do you all, feel like you need to build out? It's been 2 years now?
It's been 2 years.
So what other areas have you found that there may be some holes and, in the future you might be able to, begin plugging some of those?
So we're always looking for professionals that want to become a part of something that's bigger than themselves and serve. We have several positions open on our board to come in and just help us,
Right.
teach us and learn from us on, how can we better serve our members. One thing that we want to make sure we're doing is making sure we're listening to the members, and as we bring members in, we're taking care of them and making sure they're getting the knowledge they need to move forward as business owners. Because our success is not that we have a certain amount of members. Our success is that we start seeing these members grow big businesses
Right.
that do well in that area.
Right. How are you all telling some of those success stories?
Well, we have it out on our website. We're always out on the website.
Right.
We have it out on our Facebook. And then one thing that we do that's quite unique in our meetings is we make it a point that before any speaker comes up and speaks, we allow everyone to introduce themselves and tell them about what they're doing.
Right.
So, and that the intent of that is so that we break down barriers between ourselves and also that our businesses are being presented in a positive light at that point.
The National Minority Supplier Development Council has a category that is called a corporate plus. And this means that as a minority business entrepreneur, you have been certified, if you will, to manage and handle national accounts. Lots of businesses have that goal to grow, but they may not be able to say, does that mean I want to grow and be number one locally? Do I want to be number one regionally? Do I want to be number one, on the East Coast or mid-Atlantic or all of the United States? How are you all preparing folks to take advantage of other resources that might be out there? Are you bringing those resources to them?
Yes, that's in terms of the educational programs. We've had economic development officials to come. We've had SBA officials to come, or planning to bring them on. So we have been, I think, quite inclusive with the resources that we've invited to the chamber from the local community, the businesses, owners, the economic development officials. So I think we have been pretty inclusive there.
Beyond that, this might be a fun numbers question for you, but what does it look like in terms of the financial investment for the companies and being able to take advantage of all of your things that you offer, such as membership and your events and all of those great things?
Very affordable. It's just $100 per year. So
that is very affordable. You
very
can't beat that with a
affordable.
bet.
No, you cannot.
And what we do that I think is very unique is I make it a point of letting our members know that each dollar that they spend in that membership comes back to them. So what they see is at the end of the year when we host our events, they get discounts on those events. When we do things, they get discounts on those things. And when we go out and we do social events, we put in, we pay for appetizers out of that money. So they do get it coming back to them.
Right. And I mean, I would think in the future you might even have some peer-to-peer sort of learning opportunities for folks. I mean, as you continue educating people, they'll be ready to begin educating each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
What upcoming events do you all have planned?
So just on that last note there, we do have an ambassador program.
Great.
We've linked our members up to people who have been in the chamber for a while to make sure they understand what resources are out there for them. But
Sort of like a buddy program or something.
yeah,
That's
just
great.
to make sure if something's going on and there's something that you need help with, there's someone
awesome.
there that knows that information for you.
That's awesome.
Or has a resource
And
they can help you
get
with.
the connection immediately.
That's awesome because it's so easy within membership organizations to, become disengaged. If nobody's reaching out to you, if, you kind of out of sight, out of mind. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
One topic you asked me earlier, and I thought of something specific. Lamont mentioned we do listen to our members, and so at our last meeting, which wasn't a traditional meeting where we had a speaker, it was a business meeting, we did the budget and all of those kinds of things. But one thing that came up was that they would like to see a topic on a discussion on exit strategies.
Wow.
And so we're looking for someone to do that. We do have people within the organization that might be able to do it, but with time constraints and all of that,
Right.
we
Well, that's great because
Yeah,
contingency
yeah.
planning, it's so very important.
Yes.
At some point, we grow this big thing and then we have to toss it off. If it's a family-run business, might be a little easier to make that decision, perhaps. But, other, types of organizations that aren't set up that way have a lot of work to do when it comes to handing off things, in a way that will not only look good today, but look good for generations to come. Tell us about those upcoming events that you guys have planned.
So part of our quarterly series, we're having our quarterly outreach, and we're going to have a barbecue that's coming up on June 24th.
Nice.
And so we're gonna get together, and we have tickets that are on sale right now. And we're going to be able to put that out there so that everyone can learn about that. And then we're going to have a Black Business Expo coming up in September, and that's going to be our quarterly outreach to the community to make them aware that there are Black businesses out here that do that. And sometimes we do get contacts from people interested in, hey, I want to buy something and I want to make sure it's a Black business. So, and then our annual event, which is our gala, which was a great event last year. We had over 55 people show up, and that was our
Wow.
first year doing that.
That is for a first year. That's awesome.
Yes.
Where's that going to be?
It's going to be somewhere in Fredericksburg. I'll
Okay.
tell you. So we've got five counties to choose from.
Right.
And whichever one, we find the best location and for our membership, we'll definitely be there. But last year was in Fredericksburg. Most likely to be somewhere in Fredericksburg this
Yeah.
year, though.
Well, make sure I know because I'll start getting my black, dress together. Is it black tie?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a great event. Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's been so wonderful having you both as our guests for this week. Again, I applaud you for the work that you're doing to increase awareness, for literacy and business for Blacks in business that are in that region of Virginia, and also the work that you're doing professionally in your own private businesses as well. It all leads to a wonderful cause and a stronger bottom line.
Yeah, definitely.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Member and organization.
Right. Thank you again, Lamont and Mary.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Akia. We
Akia.
enjoyed it.
You've been watching this week's edition of Think Big. I'm your host, Akia Garnett. Feel free to reach out to me. I am online at social, all over, Akia Garnett. You can also find out information about upcoming episodes and how you can be a guest on this show at akiagarnett.com. See you next time.